The allegorical birth of Christ, an inner journey of consciousness. The traditional narrative of the birth of Jesus is often understood as a historical and religious event. However, within the deeper layers of spiritual and mystical thought, the story transcends its literal framing and becomes a powerful allegory for the inner evolution of human consciousness. In this symbolic interpretation, Mary, the Virgin Mother, represents purity, receptivity, and an uncorrupted state of awareness, while the birth of Jesus signifies the awakening of the Christ consciousness within each individual who commits to a path of inner transformation and spiritual alignment. This symbolic reading reframes the Nativity as an event that unfolds not in physical geography but in the interior world of every human being. The Virgin Mary becomes the archetype of the pure inner space, a consciousness undistorted by fear, ego, or attachment. Virginity, in this context, does not refer to physical condition but to the untouched clarity of a mind open to divine inspiration. Her whole her role reveals that the divine can manifest only when consciousness is receptive, still, and transparent enough to receive higher truth. The birth of Christ, therefore, is not merely an episode in sacred history but a recurring possibility. It represents the emergence of a higher state of awareness, one characterized by compassion, true integrity, and unconditional love. This Christ consciousness is not exclusive to a single figure, but is considered attainable for anyone who seeks spiritual maturity and inner transformation. Just as Christ was said to be born in a humble hunger, this elevated consciousness arises not in the noise of the external world, but in the quiet, undomed depths of the human heart. The process by which this higher consciousness is born involves deliberate inner work. First, one must cultivate purity of thought and intention. This does not imply perfection, but rather authenticity and clarity. Purity is in this symbolic sense means removing layers of conditioning and false identity so that the true self can emerge. Second, liberation from fear and attachment becomes essential, as fear represents the primary obstacle to spiritual growth. In many spiritual traditions, fear is seen as the opposite to divine love. Thus, transcending fear allows the soul to move into alignment with the divine nature within. Compassion, truth, and loving kindness from the core qualities through which Christ's consciousness expresses itself. Living this value daily turns spirituality from abstract belief into embodied wisdom. The inner relationship with the divine, cultivated through prayer, meditation, reflection, or simple presence, sustains this transformation. It strengthens the connection between the human and the transcendent, allowing the divine essence to grow within. In this allegorical framework, the Nativity story becomes a guide to inner awakening. The star symbolizes intuition, guiding the seeker towards spiritual truth. Joseph represents the rational mind that protects, supports, and interprets the mystical dimension of the journey. Bethlehem becomes the inner sanctuary where silence overcomes noise and where awareness meets dignity. Though through this symbolic lens, each element of the biblical narrative is not merely historical but deeply physiological and spiritual. Ultimately, the birth of Christ in the human soul signifies the realization of our highest potential. It is the moment when the individual transcends ego driven consciousness and steps into a state of unity, clarity, and love. The person who has awakened her inner Christ becomes more resilient, compassionate, and grounded. They embody strength without aggression, love without weakness, and clarity without rigidity. Thus, the true meaning of nativity extends far beyond historical remembrance. It invites every individual to participate in the same inner miracle, to cultivate purity of mind and heart, to release the limitation imposed by fear, and to live in alignment with universal truth. Though this inner work, the Christ consciousness, can be born within each of us, illuminating our lives from within and guiding us toward deeper understanding, harmony, and spiritual fulfillment.